In this video, I will tell you my opinion about the concept of microaggressions. And I would like to draw a parallel with healthcare and medicine and how it is very dangerous to overdiagnose. If today you go to every doctor of every specialty and say, I just came for a checkup because I haven't checked my skin for a long time. I haven't checked my teeth for a long time. I haven't checked my eyes for a long time. I haven't checked my ears for a long time. I also have a cough. Can you check? You will end up with a lot of diagnoses and a lot of medications. And even if you feel normal and healthy, I guarantee to you that more than half of these doctors will prescribe something for you. Now, is this necessarily bad? I would say overall, yes, because when we look for something, we find something. And sometimes this something is not important enough and we would be healthier to leave it alone than make a big deal out of it. And this is a very, very well established fact in medicine, and we really tell people not to come to the doctor if they don't suffer, if their symptoms are small, unless they have been educated by a public health campaign, for example, for skin cancer or for breast cancer. These are exceptions that we have to know about, but overall, don't go to the doctor if you're not bothered for a very long time with something or if you don't have an acute pain, okay? Now, I want to argue that people who encourage us to learn and recognize microaggressions are damaging the fabric of the society, because look at this definition from this PDF. I pasted it here verbatim so I can make notes. Microaggressions are the everyday verbal, non-verbal, and environmental slights, snubs, or insults, whether intentional or unintentional, that communicate hostile, derogatory, or negative messages to target persons based solely upon their marginalized group membership from diversity, blah, blah, blah. The first step in addressing microaggressions is to recognize when a microaggression has occurred, what message it may be sending. The context of the relationship and situation is critical. Thank you. Below are common themes to which microaggressions attach. So we have some words we have to be careful. So what about the word communicate? To communicate something, there is two parts, the communicator and the communicatee. If I insult you in Greek, for example, my mother tongue, in a calm way, so if I say, εύχομαι κατάρρες όλους τους και να πεθάνετε όλοι, I haven't successfully communicated hostility if you don't speak Greek. And I know that, that's why I said it. If you teach yourself Greek just to be able to understand being insulted in Greek, then the communication will be complete. Now, the case of microaggressions is different, but if the person doesn't have any intentions to harm you, and if you don't read that, some people use the phrase, where are you from, to harm people, then no harm has done. I insist on that. We create problems where they don't exist. We are explicitly educated to recognize damage even if there is no intention to damage. So basically, if I learn that some things that are not supposed to be damaging are because some scholars say that they implicitly, this word is used so much, implicitly foster a racist culture, a sexist culture. Man, this is good to study in academia. It's the same as seeing a small symptom on your skin. It's good to study how it can lead to cancer. But you don't go to everyday people, look at their skin and like, oh, this could be your cancer. This could be, look at this shit. It may be cancer. It may be cancer. Yeah, but most likely it's not. And let's not get started about marginalized group membership. First of all, it can be arbitrary. You can be the happiest handicapped person. And don't tell me that handicapped people as a group are not marginalized. Second of all, you reinforce the marginalization by inviting people to be very wary of it. Come on. And I see the arguments. I'm not saying I don't see the arguments. I have listened to hundreds of hours of people defending these points, but these people are doctors, you know what I mean? I have zero problem with this being discussed and studied in an academic level, but I do have a problem that the academic nuances and the studies that may correlate to some racial or societal problems are injected to people's everyday lives, and they put worries where they really shouldn't exist and makes everybody's life worse. That being said, I may disagree with the intensity by how they are perceived, but I do agree that some things are shitty things to say, or at least inconsiderate, and some things are totally fine. So in this video, I will tell you my personal opinion, whether something labeled as microaggression is totally fine, and I'm totally comfortable with using it, or if I actually don't like it. Where are you from? Nothing wrong with that. There is a better version of the question because some people are sensitive with this question now. So I sometimes ask people, are you from here? Are you from this town? This is safer. You can say, are you from here? And then they can interpret here as in this town or in this country, and they can choose what to say. But where are you from itself, I think totally fine. Where were you born? Again, this implies another country. I think it's a weird question. So, see, where were you born is an effort to not ask where are you from, but it sounds worse in my opinion. But some people say, oh, don't ask where are you from. Oh, where are you born? Then it's less racist. Oh, it's stupid. Don't say this. You speak good English. I wouldn't say to a person without an excuse, but if they say, oh, my English is horrible, I would say, no, you speak great English. Someone asking an Asian American to teach them words in their native language. I see nothing wrong with that. So what, I'm Greek, we speak in English, maybe because they're Asian Americans, so supposedly they don't need to know the language of their parents or grandparents. But if you know they do, why not ask them to teach you a word? Come on. You are a credit to your race. I haven't heard this phrase. It sounds stupid to me. Just the sheer fact that you say to your race is making it racist. I don't like this. I don't know if people use it, but I wouldn't like to hear it. You're so articulate. I also don't like this. It has old school connotations. And actually, I hate when English speaking people give me too much praise of how good English I speak. Because first of all, I'm aware that I make a lot of mistakes anyway. But secondly, I live in Europe. We speak a lot of English here. So why is it such a big surprise? Like if you mentioned it once, I was with a guy in Canada and he couldn't stop telling me how impressed he is by how good English I speak as a Greek person. Like, chill. He was really annoying because he kept saying it. It was like, okay, thank you. Asking an Asian person to help with a math or science problem. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I don't know if it's a microaggression, but I think it's silly. Seeing someone Asian, you would assume automatically they're good in math. That's not necessarily the case. There are many Asian people that actually complain, everybody thinks I'm good in math, but I'm not. When I look at you, I don't see color. Again, the need to defend yourself and specify that you're not racist is already ugly. I think the non-racist attitude should be the default, right? So fuck this. America is a melting pot. I don't see a problem with that. Big wealthy countries, especially the big cities and always the capital, are a melting pot of cultures, societies. But everybody who migrates to a new country should try to assimilate as much as possible, as fast as possible, in order to be able to communicate culturally with the host country, because it's a host country, okay? It's your host. So this is presented here as a negative. I would say this is positive. Now, how much of your family, home country culture you want to keep, that's another story. But I do think it's a big problem to expect from the country that is hosting you, that is in your new house, to bend their ways around you too much. Maybe religion can be an exception, but overall, whether you want to keep practicing your back home culture or not should be your choice. But whether you want to learn the culture of the country that you live in should be a default, and everybody should do it. There is only one race, the human race. I have no opinion about that sentence, except it looks silly to me because it tries to say something half-assedly. I don't understand it even. What's the point, that we are not racist? I don't know. I don't like this one. So from those, I would only say this one, melting pot is not a problem. But those sentences are like trying too hard to say you're not racist. A white man or woman clutching their purse or checking their wallet as a black or Latino approaches or passes. Yeah, that's quite ugly. I don't know if it's aggressive to the person, but it can also be justifiable. So most people of color are not criminals, okay? But in some neighborhoods, most criminals are people of color. Literally, all the people I know have had their stuff stolen, and almost all the times that the thief was seen or caught or remembered, that person was an immigrant. Now, this is an indication to a systemic problem, and it has nothing to do with the culture of those immigrants, I would like to say. It's the contributing factors of criminality, of theft in a country are much more about how these people enter, how they are assimilated, if they can have a job, a family life. It's much less about the culture in their country. So I do believe there are better and worse overall cultures. I don't believe that all cultures are to be equally respected, but I don't think that's the main contributing factor for erratic behavior, let's say. A store owner following a customer of color around the store. Again, if you have seen 10 people of color shoplifting and no white person, let's say, in America, what are you gonna do? Both sides are uncomfortable. So the innocent black person, let's say, is paying the price for a guilty black person who did that yesterday. I don't know. I wouldn't call these microaggressions. I would call these unfortunate, sad circumstances. Unless the store owner does it on purpose just to piss off the person of color. It doesn't mean that you're a criminal. No, it doesn't mean that. It means that I am vulnerable. I am afraid. You may disagree with me. Please write me a comment if you disagree, because I may revise my opinion. I'm not a racist. I have several black friends. This is an ugly sentence. You can actually have 0 friends that are people of color and not be racist. And you can still be racist having black friends. As a woman, I know what you go through as a racial minority. Don't call any person in the world a racial minority, underprivileged, marginalized. Don't call any person like this shit. This is so disgustingly offensive, humiliating, condescending. A handicapped black dwarf lesbian, put all what you think is marginalized. I would never call that woman a marginalized minority if I saw her, because the moment you see her, she's that woman. We can use these terms in statistics and in academia and in drawing correlations between different types of marginalization and life conditions or whatever. Sure, do it. But when you have a person in front of you, they're not a fucking minority. They are that person in front of you. They can be 10 times more privileged than you in that case of that person. Or they may be not. Sorry, but it's so ugly. I believe the most qualified person should get the job. So that implies that people of color are given extra unfair benefits because of their race. You know what? Quotas can be unfair and stupid. And if a company I'm interested in is hiring and they say, and I've seen it in the ads, we will give priority to people of strange sexuality or people of color or handicapped. I don't like that, but also many people in those predicaments and people I know and I have talked with, they also don't like that. Now, if you're in the waiting room of a company for interviews that says, we will prefer black people, and there's a black person next to you and you're white, and say, you know, black guy, I think the most qualified person should get the job. Yeah, this is stupid offensive, but this is in reference to the label. So you deflect your offensiveness through the label. Everyone can succeed in this society if they work hard enough. Yeah, it's not so simple. It's not so simple. So both the statements I don't like. But for this one, I don't like the reason that some people have to say it. And for this, of course, there are people that grew in an environment that is so harsh, especially psychologically, that hard work is definitely not enough for them to succeed in life. Asking a black person, why do you have so loud animated? Just calm down. Whereas if you ask a white person, I mean, this is stupid. The fact that this is racism right here. Or to an Asian and Latino person, why are you so quiet? We want to know what you think. Be more verbal. Speak up more. Yeah. First of all, these are a little bit rude things to ask to anyone. Okay, why are you like this? So you have to be close enough. But then if you are close enough, and if you would ask this a white person, you might as well ask it to a black person. Why would you racistly assume that just because they're black, it's in their culture to be more animated, or just because they're Asian is their culture to be quiet? Yes, it may be. It may be the social norm. It may be a cultural norm. It's always a combination of personality and culture. But hey, if you ask those things the right way, it shouldn't matter if you ask it to a white person or person of color. Dismissing an individual who brings up race culture in work school setting. I don't understand that. Assimilate to dominant culture. It's not about assimilation. If somebody is too loud, they are annoying. Okay? If somebody is too quiet, you cannot communicate. There must be this similar energy, similar enough to be able to communicate. Maybe two very loud people can communicate nicely. I will have a headache. I don't belong there. Or if it's really important, I will stick around. I'm not going to hang out with these people and come home with a headache. And also, I'm not going to hang out with a person that barely speaks. And that's my experience in Western Europe as a Greek person that I am very talkative, as you can see. And I try to tease out conversation and I make them uncomfortable. I get uncomfortable and exhausted. Like, unfortunately, we would be more compatible to be friends and hang out if our energies are within a range that is similar enough. Or with patients, like with housemates, it's easier because you get used to them, But I would dismiss an individual, not the person. I would dismiss the topic of race. I would prefer to take it to the experience. I had this conversation recently, like a woman who said, yeah, since I'm a black woman, blah, 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 blah. Now, I did in my head dismiss that fact because I'm a black woman, because she was full of shit in many, many other things. But I would like to learn because this is my story. This is my experience, not as a black woman, as a person who went through these things. Because the black woman next to you may have a totally different course in London. Come on, it's London. It's not a village in a Balkan country, okay? There you can say, as a black woman in a village in a Balkan country, okay. But in London, come on. See, I'm already doing the microaggression thing they say I shouldn't do. Tell me your story, not the story of your race. It's not your race. You're much more than your skin color. Come on. A person of color mistaken for a service worker. Having a taxi cab pass a person of color pick up a white passenger, being ignored at the store counter as attention given to the white customer. Or say you people. Yeah, all those things are very ugly. We shouldn't do them. I would call them microaggressions. These are really, really not nice things. And actually some people do them by mistake. And I would understand a person of color feeling hurt or offended by those things. Absolutely. A college or university with buildings that are all named after white, heterosexual, upper class males. This is very stupid because in the West, the last few hundreds years, most career successful people were white males, and why not? So to deliberately try to change this, to add diversity to the names of buildings, and to remove somebody who has achieved something just because of the color of their skin or their sexuality, come on. Television shows and movies that feature predominantly white people without representation of people of color. No, then it's noise. Do you know what noise is? The ultimate diversity is noise. You have a little bit of everything and then you have nothing. Come on. Overcrowding public schools in communities of color. Yeah, that's not a microaggression. That's an actual problem. That's a funds allocation and city or town problem. It's not a microaggression. Overabundance of liquor stores in communities of color. This is the market, man. So I'm not gonna open a liquor store where I'm gonna make more money just because it's microaggressive against whom? This is the stupidest things I've seen in this document. I'm not gonna open a KFC, a fried chicken shop in a black neighborhood because it's racist. Come on. And then, Indian giver. I've never heard of that. Is it supposed to be that Indians don't give anything? I don't know. That's so gay. Okay. She welched on the bed. I jewed him down. That's so white of you. You people, we got gipped and imitating accents or dialects. You know what? I accept those. They're not nice things to say. Okay? So that was this document. So I agree some phrases are annoying, stupid, and shouldn't be said much or at all. But many of them I don't have any problem with. The very opposite, I have problem with them being chastised because we should be able to speak without thinking too much, without over-diagnosing our behavior. Come on. So thank you for watching this video. Please write a comment with your opinion. What do you think about the idea of microaggressions? I personally think this term belongs in the academia and actually does damage to consider in our daily life. It's creating problems where they don't really practically exist. But let me know if you disagree or agree with me or add some nuance to the conversation in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.